What's up, everybody? It's Orange Bloods Live, Texas OU Week. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That is Chad Hastings. Like, comment, subscribe, go into the Specs chat it up, send us some super chats. We're breaking down what Steve Sarkisian just said at his Monday press conference. We're obviously looking ahead to Texas OU on Saturday. And we're looking back at Saturday's loss, the one that just was less than 48 hours ago when Texas and Florida did their thing in the swamp and Texas didn't really do a thing, if we're being completely honest. Chad, a lot to unpack, just period. Like this is, we could probably just unpack for 5 straight days. As Sark finished up there, there's a couple things that stood out to me before. I'm curious if we're on the same page and or if there was something for you that was blinking like a screaming red siren light.
No, I mean, there's nothing like that. There's a couple people saying, the kid gloves are off and Sark's fired up and the things like that. I don't know if I'd go quite that far. I thought there were a couple of questions you could argue needed to be asked. I thought he put the pin in the grenade pretty well. Because what are you going to do OU week? You go deep diving into the mental side of this thing. I think that might be a bad play. I might have stayed away from tell the other 135 teams to go play Ohio State and Florida when South Florida went there and won. You might not want to do that part. So, I don't know that he got really snarky. I think he stayed kind of where he needed to overall. And I said last week, he had trained this media to not ask injury questions. One barely got asked about CJ Baxter, but a full injury question never got asked. And here we are. It's OU week, and he's trying to figure it out. But he played the hits, Catch. He played the gotta coach better, gotta play better. What else is he supposed to do this week?
Couple of things. One, Hookem 24/7 reported that Trey Wisner re-injured his hamstring, and then they didn't ask him about the thing they reported. And it seems, since he's the starting running back, it seems like, I'm just saying.
That's how much he's got them trained, Catch. He has them so trained after last week's comment, they're just not going to ask.
I would bust Anwar's balls if he reported such a major story and then and then didn't, because it looks like you don't trust your story if you're afraid to ask the coach about it. I don't know. Nevertheless,
what'd you think?
I thought for about 30 seconds we were going to have a meltdown press conference. The first 2 questions were about the offensive line. The second one was specifically, do you look back and think you made a poor decision in not going to the portal for an offensive line? I thought Sark probably answered that question as well as he can, but it's a stupid answer, right? Like he basically said, well, you got to look at what's available, and is the available better than what we have?
Yeah, he gave you the big version, but he didn't tell you his version. You know what I mean? It was he told me how he prepares to go to a movie and goes to a movie. He didn't tell me what he thought of that movie, of his movie. It was really general, that answer.
The answer is they messed up. He knows they messed up. Kyle Flood knows they messed up, but they got 7 games to go and there's no new players showing up. So
you can't say that.
Dwell on it right now.
Right.
He can't say, yep, we made a bad decision. If I could do it back all over again, I'd have taken 5 offensive linemen instead of 5 defensive tackles. He can't really say that now, but I thought the breaks with the questions, because the first 2 questions were like, boom, your offensive line sucks, go. The second one, you kind of screwed up building that offensive line. Do you agree? Go. And Sark was very short, right? I think Chip had the first question, and he said, run better, block better.
Right. Will there be changes? Right. It started with, will there be changes on the offensive line? How do you decide whatever? And then he went with coach better, play better. And then the follow-up was the portal. And he said, we're more than capable. And then said, got to coach better, got to play better. And as I was driving here today, I had an appointment to go to, and I'm coming over, and I'm just thinking, what's he going to say other than that? He has to say that. The Monday of OU, you can't go deep into it because the time to go deep into it, Catch, is when you and I got mad that it didn't get asked.
Yeah.
Those 2 straight press conferences, the one before Sam, because it's Sam, and the one after Sam, because he was dumb enough to do something on a bye week. And no one asked. They asked about confidence, but they didn't ask about the offensive line. He could have gone deep into it then. He ain't doing that today.
But
he's not. You can ask that question 5 times. He's going to he'll diffuse it 5 times. I agree with you. It sounds kind of silly, but he has no other option.
Well, and I'm not nitpicking the answer, right? Like, I'm telling you, it doesn't hold up in the light of day.
Right.
But I get why he said it. I thought the most honest moment of the press conference, and it was real. Maybe there are lots of examples that this isn't rock bottom. Whatever people think the Florida game was, we ain't there yet. If there's going to be a rock bottom, we're not there yet. Like this, maybe we'll learn in time that this was the bottom of this particular issue, but this isn't rock bottom. Anwar asked a question that was so full of specific detail. I thought Sark was going to chew his ass because he was like, your run game sucks.
Yeah.
Your running backs can't do jack. Anwar actually, if we're going to be exact, right? Because you and I are constantly the words matter guy. Mm-hmm. What Anwar said was that Texas doesn't have a run this year of more than 18 yards. But he was saying it in the context of asking about the running backs. And I thought, oh, Sark's gonna nitpick that one little detail. He's gonna chew his ass. Oh, we've got to run. Instead, Sark corrected Anwar, but only to properly frame it, right? He was like, yes, we don't have a run this season by the running back position of more than 18 yards. And I was like, like he literally hugged Anwar's point and gave it like full caressing and like, yes, what you said is right, but let me make sure I say it exactly right, because I want to make sure that it's exactly about the running backs. They got to break tackles. The blocking's got to be better. There's like a million things that they think have to be better. But we came away from today knowing that, A, there's no answer in play beyond they have to play better. Coach better, play better. That's all they got. There are no other players. In fact, he's a little bit like in his feelings about the running back position because he can't get guys healthy. He said today we're probably rotating guys in and out too much.
Right.
But if Trey Wisner can't play on Saturday, or even if he can, but he's limited about as much as he was on Saturday, because guys, hamstring.
Yeah.
God damn, I feel like for 3 weeks people were coming at me with, they were talking about on another show that it was a growing injury. Guys, all I heard was hamstring. It never changed. Never changed. What happened on Saturday? Might have re-aggravated the hamstring.
Yeah, and you can see it. I mean, you can see what he was trying to go through, but man, that was not.
And people were saying, why are you guys talking about this? You don't even have the injury right. And the whole point was because if you come back, we did this like a month ago. I was like, Chad, the thing about every hamstring injury is it's a month. It's a month at a minimum. And then when you come back, you're playing with fire.
Right. Everybody's different. Everybody's totally different when you come back from it.
And everybody was like, but it's not even the hamstring. It's something. I would say to those, look, I think we're all rethinking what were our sources telling us about the football program and stuff like that. If somebody's giving you wrong information on an injury, you need to ask yourself how that happened. I'm just giving advice to other people in the industry. I don't know if other people are now asking the question of like, why were you constantly saying it was this when it wasn't? But maybe you should. Because I'm asking questions. One of the things that we got to get to at some point in the show today, maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's Wednesday, maybe it's a litany of shows. Where did we go wrong with this team? Where? And Kirk asked the question, and it led, I think that's actually the question that led to Sark throwing the ask how many teams out of 133 could go to Florida and Ohio State.
Yeah, careful.
There's so many ways you'd want to pick apart that answer, Sark, and I'm just not. I'm not. It literally speaks for itself. I'm not going to do it.
The easiest way is that. Just do that. That's the South Florida Bulls hand sign, if I'm not mistaken. Come
on. Texas isn't 133 other pro. You can never do that.
No,
that's the closest he's ever come to a John Malkovich. You like the good, you live with that. Sometimes you got to live with the bad too. After losing to Rice, like sometimes. Don't
tell him the quarterback sneak is not in the playbook. Don't do that.
Don't tell him that 133 teams could have gone to Rice and like a bunch of them could have lost that day too. Like, trust me.
No.
Trust me. I've been here a while. I think we've got to look at ourselves and say, how did we? Because the questions that are being asked now are being asked in August, July, June. We were talking about this stuff. How did I California stop sign through these questions? I have historically been Mr. I don't know. You were doing a show with me 2 years ago when I was one of the last people to say, I think this is a playoff caliber team. Mm-hmm. I didn't quite think that they had that level of consistency in them. I didn't believe that they could go on the road and essentially win all their games without a step up. Injuries at quarterback were on the table. Like, there were a lot of things that made me tap the brakes a little bit in 2023. No tapping. And before then, I hadn't really picked, other than the 2019 season after they won and maybe this is the lesson I got to learn. I am personally super hard about giving benefit of the doubt. But I think if I were to look at the last decades, the two times I gave benefit of the doubt too much was on the heels of teams that won, beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, and you think they're going to build off of that. And then only after 2 straight national championship semifinal appearances did I get to a point where I was like, I think now they take a step. But man, there were so many signs. There were so many blinking things that said, are you sure? Mm-hmm. We all have to ask ourselves, hey, where did I got it. Chad, here's where I would go. Mm-hmm. All the way during August. We didn't once report that the Texas offense was doing shit in practice. We didn't say they were kicking ass in scrimmages. We never said that Arch Manning had a great day. In fact, most of the sources like across the industry would say things like, well, Arch is Arch. As if any of us have any idea what that's supposed to mean. And because now if I would say, Arch was Arch, about 15 different versions of what that probably is.
Right.
I did think Sark was 100% on the money about Arch from this weekend, though. Weirdly, he's kind of being crucified by the fan base for some, more from that game than the other games where if you were hard on him, people were like, slow down. Don't make too big of a deal out of San Jose State. Like there's a weird little thing that happened here, but I think he's right about his quarterback from Saturday. But we ask the questions of is this important? Is it important that here's one we specifically talked about. Is it important that 3 weeks of camp have gone by and we haven't talked about Arch Manning at all? How's that possible?
We talked about it. Yeah.
We talked about it. But what we didn't do was let the seriousness of that question completely seep in because, and this is just me, I cannot speak for everybody else. My thought process was settled. Arch would be better. Arch would be better than the quarterback play from a year ago. And if you jump in the super chat or the specs chat and say some shit like Quinn Ewers would be playing better on this team right now with worse offensive line play, worse tight end play, worse wide receiver play, worse running back play. If you think with better personnel, the guy that posted a 149 quarterback rating would have been better, a 149 in year 3 as a starter, would have been better behind this group, you're just delusional. You're literally clinging to a point because neither quarterback is good right now. But we can't be intellectually disingenuous as to say that a guy that had much better personnel a year ago and was not good. He wasn't. Texas didn't score more than 17 points on offense last year against Georgia twice, Ohio State, Arizona State. Remember that game that took overtime? It wouldn't have if the offense had scored more than 17 points in that game in regulation. A&M, remember that game? It should have been like 30-something to nothing, but a certain quarterback kept screwing it up. Like, this isn't relitigating that. The quarterback is a wash right now. In fact, Arch is having to do this behind a worse offensive line with skill position players that have no burst, and he's got to be his own goddamn running game. That is it. And Sark, I think when I was talking about his honesty, Chad, it's the running game where he's the most honest about right now. He's not happy with his running backs. He's not happy with his offensive line. He's not happy with his coaching. All of them, I'm guessing, can get some behind the scenes for a myriad of reasons. But at the end of the day, he's basically saying those dudes ain't manning up and doing the job. And how are we going to win on Saturday against Oklahoma? Those dudes better show up and be men, or we're going to get our ass kicked. Arch isn't going to have a chance.
Yeah. I asked you a few weeks ago if this was going to be a Texas OU game where the quarterback was the best running back on each team. And here we are.
Yes, for both.
I think it is, right? I think that's what we're going to watch. I don't care who starts for OU. Whoever starts for OU, I think, is their best running back. So
I think Texas is funny. It was 15 years ago this week.
I see the super chats, by the way. We'll get them.
Texas fell out a preseason number 14 in 2010, fell out of the top 25 altogether. And they went into a bye week, so it's a little bit different. But 3-2 Texas in 2010. And all of the things that literally happens at the same point in the season. 15 years ago at this exact moment, we were less than 2 weeks away from the Cleve Bryant era of Texas football coming to an end in shame.
Oh, geez.
We were doing the pregame show that Saturday for the Nebraska game.
Mm-hmm.
I have pushed back all year long against Anwar Richardson's claim that Texas needs to run the ball better with Arch Manning, partly because I just have thought that's not the guy you want to expose to injury potentially by asking him to be kind of Sam Ehlinger. However, and I bring up 2010, I bring all this up because I think the blueprint for Texas winning on Saturday, they have to channel what Texas did in 2010 when they went to Lincoln, Nebraska, and won a game in methods that is not how they would typically want to play football. But what did they do? They turned Garrett Gilbert into a fullback, did not ask him to win that game with his arm. They were really good on defense. They let Garrett Gilbert give them something in the running game, did not ask him to throw the game away. And that was the highlight of the 2010 season. They went on the road. They won that game in Lincoln. They moved to 4-2. And then the wheels fell off. But if you're Texas and you're talking about how do we beat Oklahoma, I think maybe for the first time this season, I am conceding that making Arch run the ball more than 15 times on Saturday might be their best avenue towards having an acceptable, doable run game. Because the group, they can't just line. They're going to have to do some unconventional things because this group can't just line up and whip Oklahoma, and they don't have the running backs right now that are playing well enough that they can make stuff on their own. They're going to have to do some jet sweeps. They're going to have to do some end arounds. They're going to have to get some guys involved, 2 or 3 carries here or there. This might have to be a week where Niblett gets like 4 or 5 touches. But when you wouldn't normally do that, and you wouldn't do it again the rest of the season, but they've got to find a way to get some yardage in the run game. Can't have Sark showing up next Monday, ruin their inability to gain 60 yards of hidden yards on special teams. I understood where Sark was getting at, where he was like, we got to field punts better. But you know what Sark wouldn't be doing the week of Texas OU? He wouldn't be talking about we need to field our punts better if the team was playing well. Like, that's a detail that you firm up. When your team gets its ass kicked like it did last week, you show up at a Monday press conference in the first 5 minutes, you're like, well, if we'd recovered a fumble or covered some kicks, maybe the game goes different. Like, that's where you leave yourself in. And those guys, there's a lot that Sark and this staff deserve F's for this season. They have to be the best versions of themselves on Saturday, or they will not win the game because they don't have a team, a method. They don't have any style at all on offense. So there's no, let's just do a brisket and potato salad. We're doing tried and true, just what are their basics? There is no basics. Shit, half the time I can't decide what kind of run game they're trying to run. Are they trying to be a power team? Have they gone zone? Who can run behind? I don't know. They don't have answers to any of these questions. So, yeah, man, they may have to tap dance a little bit and do some tricks. And Sark mentioned gadget plays and trick plays. Like, it's all got to be on the table. I don't know that this team can line up right now and just beat teams. That's not how they've been constructed.
I see the super chats. We will get them. Let's remind you where to come watch the game. TCH Social Austin. Do not watch this game alone. 183 and Anderson Mill. Come watch it on that big ass screen with us. We'll throw Texas and OU right in the middle, and any other game that matters on the outside. It is always a good time. Hopefully the game will be a better time this week. Also remember, hijackpoker.com. Play online poker anywhere in the state of Texas. Put it on any device you want, phone, tablet, whatever, and get to playing. And, of course, the post-game show live from TCH Social Austin and other locations, including Dallas, where Anwar will be covering the game in the press box. We'll get all the reaction from Texas and OU. Again, hopefully it goes better for Texas this week. All right, let's grab these super chats. We'll start with James at $9.99. Fantastic 10 thoughts, Catch. Maybe the best I've read. Terry Black's metaphor was perfect for both Mac and Sark. I feel like this team is more 07 UT than 2010 UT, but I get why you make the comp.
Yes. The metaphor was, both Mac and Sark, Mac in 2010 and Sark this season have changed their ideologies. And Sark is the head coach at Texas, because when he was at Alabama, he had arguably the best and fastest and skilled wide receiver unit outside of maybe 2019 LSU in the history of the game, right? They had a Heisman winner at receiver, Devontae Smith. They had Jalen Waddle. They had John Mechie. They were a bunch of small, fast guys that nobody could cover. That's how Sark got the job. Then he came to Texas and he made the national semifinals 2 years in a row with a bunch of 4-3 guys all over the place on offense. And then Sark has voluntarily admitted that he's gone away from that as a choice. They want bigger guys at wide receiver. And I said it'd be like Terry Black deciding after all these years he just wasn't going to cook brisket anymore. We're going to do salads. And it's like, well, that's cool. You want to eat healthier and you can make good salads, but you make the best brisket. What are you doing? It's like, oh, well, we're not doing that anymore. Mac did it in 2010 when he decided to go away from the spread offense. It saved his life and career because he wanted to be, stop if you've heard this in the last 5 weeks, a physical SEC type team. Sark kind of repeating Mac's history with, I know that we've had a lot of success with a track team, but you got to be able to catch balls in traffic. Well, no, you don't. Not if your guys just run by guys. Like Jalen Waddle does not catch balls in traffic. You know what he does?
There's no traffic.
My guys, I watched him do it yesterday. He had to wait on the ball in the end zone. He had like a 40-yard touchdown from whoever the hell, from Tua yesterday. And he was like 7 yards behind the DB. And it was like, yeah, man, sometimes it just helps to be fast.
That's the damnedest thing. That Corvette never seems to be in traffic. Why is that? I have no idea. That's crazy. James, thank you for that super chat. We appreciate you. Quick little 199er here from Catch the Wave. Thank you. Are we Auburn? I don't know if I'd go that far.
No, man, look, I'm telling you, if everybody else, if Arch plays against Ohio State as well as he did on Saturday, they would have beaten Ohio State. There was a better Arch Manning. It wasn't a good Arch Manning. I wouldn't go that far. He turned the ball over twice. His quarterback rating was a 140. But like that dude was.
I mean, this discussion has been about the full team product, Catch. Yeah. The full team product was an 8-point loss on the road. The defense let them down in a way that I don't think will be talked about enough this week. That's my biggest I was wrong, was I thought this defense could be trusted a little bit more.
They gave up 27.
Yeah, they gave up 27, and I also said they could trust their punt game. That unit gave up 2 and almost got that ball on the 1, but they didn't. And then they had a fumble, and they didn't cover it. Little things. He mentioned the double pass. They almost hit it, didn't. They had Mosley open, but didn't hit him. There's a lot of fine margins here. I would not look at this game like what happened to Penn State. What happened to Penn State is a 40-year historic loss. Yeah. That one is something James Franklin cannot answer. This is different to me. This is a team that you knew had talent, woke up and found it. In 2 drives, you knew, oh, God, this is the Florida we thought about in the offseason. And Texas just couldn't answer the bell. That's and lost by 8. That is different than what James Franklin's group went to California and did. It's a totally different experience.
I don't feel like anybody else talked. We didn't talk about that game at length, but we referenced that game multiple times. And what did I say all week? The last thing in the world, what did I say? Because I was saying that what Texas needed was somebody that could give them a fist fight, right? And right. I was saying the last thing you'd want from Penn State is going all the way across the country to take on a UCLA team that nobody will talk. Like, it just. Yeah.
Hey, Catch, did you see the stat? They were the only Power 4 going into the game that hadn't led this year in any game at any moment. That's how bad it was. The last time that kind of loss happened was 1985.
That's wild.
I think Jimmy Johnson was at Oklahoma State. It was so long ago.
Okay, so just to circle back real quick on Manning.
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to argue that Arch was good on Saturday. And I don't think Sark was either. I think what Sark and I would argue was, I think that's the best I've seen Arch Manning play, period. I don't care about Sam Houston State. Like, that guy played football on Saturday. I never once worried about his mechanics on Saturday.
Yep.
I never once was worried that he was going to ground ball a throw to his receivers. Like, this was a little more like this, but this was also a guy making his first career road start.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that there's going to be some growing pains. He's got nobody around him picking him up. There's not one player on this Texas offense that's providing an outlet for Arch to have help, like real help. Doesn't have it. And because I would argue there's not one guy on this offense right now, with maybe the exception of Trevor Gooseby, that I think is a plus starting SEC player. However, we went 22 minutes. I counted. We went 22 minutes into the press conference today before anybody mentioned Arch Manning's name.
Right. Oh, people know. I mean, yeah, you watch.
But I mean, that gives you an idea. I think coming out of Saturday, that was not a game about Arch.
No.
And anybody that would say disingenuous things like, hey, all of you people that thought that Quinn should have been replaced, what do you think? What do we think now? We don't think Quinn makes it out of the second quarter of that game. And neither does Quinn. And neither does Quinn's agents.
Yeah.
And neither does his parents. Arch took a beating on Saturday. Yeah. Really.
He did. And for me, Catch, I'm trying to stay consistent this week because it's going to sound stupid when this comes out of my mouth. That game really wasn't about offense for me. My first thought about that game will always be the defense. They were what
can be true at the same time.
It's true, but
all three phases failed the team on Saturday.
Absolutely. Florida had the dictionary definition of complimentary football to start the game, and Texas got nothing out of their bye week and laid down. And the one thing I thought I knew is that defense was going to pack its bags. They had a chance to stand up at 7-0, 10-0. 10-7. At that 10-7 point, it's like, all right, fellas, we got it back. We had a little complimentary football. You created something. Arch went and scored a touchdown. Now play. Dallas Wilson is good. Hopefully they already told him that. That freshman is a badass, and Manny Muhammad's on the sideline. Does anybody other than a one-armed man and Colin Simmons want to play football today? And the answer was no.
I was a little squeamish, maybe the right word. Sark doesn't know why that team came out slow.
No, he doesn't.
And usually coaches will talk about they know they can spot it coming, you know.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you'll hear coaches say, I thought we were dead in the pregame, and then you show up and they come out like firecrackers.
Yeah.
Sark
I love it when coaches will give you that little moment after a game where they say, hey, I felt something in pregame. Obviously, I'm not going to say that, but he's like, I felt it, right? I felt something. I need to figure out what that is. But yeah, Sark didn't have that moment on this one.
I don't get the sense that I think what Sark said today was if we recover that fumble, maybe the whole thing looks different. And so rather than have a real good reason for why the first 15 minutes of the game was less than satisfactory, he focused on the first play and says, God, if we just recovered that fumble, the whole thing might change and maybe that doesn't look that way. And I don't know. I would say.
And by the way, I agree with him, but that's also an insult to his defense. That's a huge insult to that defense to play that. He's right. Again, two things can be right at the same time. They were extremely disappointing. And yes, that's a different ball game. Butterfly effect. If they cover that fumble and they're going in on the 30 and every Florida fan is thinking, oh God, here we go again. They would have booed the catch. They booed their team up 19-7. Did you hear that moment? They booed the Florida offense up 19-7 on one play. Like that group is ruthless. They would have.
Because they showed up ready to fire. That's not a happy bunch of fans.
But that's why I'm saying that play is really important. If Taft jumps on that football and Texas gets the ball and puts any points on the board, that Florida crowd rumbles in a bad way. That's a huge opportunity missed because somehow Florida got 9 yards off that play. Like, how do you come out of that play and it's 2nd and 1? That had to make the Texas defense that had to stun them. Well, clearly it stunned them because they didn't play. They decided not to play again until about 20, 30, 40 minutes from then.
I will say randomly before we get back to the super chats, because I just saw a text message come in. It was kind of distracting. It was from the source.
Okay.
I was like, I didn't understand. It was one of those, like, it showed up on my screen and I literally have no idea what he's talking about. It just involved the words Texas Tech.
Gotcha.
I've heard, and this, I've heard there's some, I heard it's not all rosy behind the scenes. And I'm reminded one of the things that we learned about Steve Sarkisian in 2021, he does not, think back to that Arkansas game and think back to the fallout of that. He never forgave Hudson Card for embarrassing him. Just never did.
Right. And
I get the sense in some of the language that I'm being told by some sources that on some of these issues behind the scenes, there's kind of some hard feelings about how they've ended up where they're at. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of this season goes and what the fallout is. But I think Sark's pissed. I thought he looked like a pissed off. When you show up and you start answering things like, got to coach better, got to play better. Like, you're mad at everybody.
Right. That's his version of Mac's got to go back to work. That's what Mac would do. Mac would just say, got to go back to work over and over and over and over and over. But you could tell he was upset. And that's what this is. Because he can't say whatever he's really thinking.
Yeah.
Again, OU Monday. You can't stop and go, I think I should just change everything about what I've been thinking. I'm going to put guys up in the press box. Y'all are right about that part. We're going to totally revamp. Man, I really screwed up the portal in the offensive line. I'm going to go tell the offensive line, my receivers, and my running backs that they're all not good enough. And then we're going to go try to beat the Sooners.
But at the end of 2021, that's exactly what he did. But remember when he was asked about the Casey Thompson, Hudson Card thing? And Casey been playing with like a jacked up thumb. And he was like, hey, man, if we got to go out into the portal and get a quarterback, then like that's just what we got to do. And I remember like at the time I was like, wow, I have not seen that. Like it's one thing to say it out loud.
But that's at the end of the season, right? Yeah, that's end of a season. That's when things are behind you. So the next time he'll have a chance to breathe and do that might be the bye week. But remember, the bye week is right before Georgia. You want to go introspective right before you head
down this week, Chad, and they have 7 regular season games left. at the end of the day, they do have to coach better and like play better. Like,
sure.
Like where he's right is like fundamentally they're poor. So, where I have some sympathy from my son Hendrix, isn't the best math student in the world. Well, I was his age. I was a really good math student. But we got into high school and you start getting into like calculus and stuff like that. And then it just got hard. It was very similar to when I played Little League Baseball and I was an all-star all the way up until the time when I was like 11 or 12. And I'll never forget, I played on the Giants and I didn't get a base hit all season. Like at some point, I had bad luck, but I couldn't hit curveball. Like everything just hit me at once and I sucked at baseball. And like, we're watching a little bit of that right now. And I have some sympathy for Sark knows all of this stuff, the big picture, 30,000 feet up stuff, but he's got a game this week. And what Chad's exactly right about is he can be stern with these offensive linemen, but what he can't say is, right, he can say they have to be better. They're not winning the battle at the point of attack. We can't win if they don't play better. That is not the same thing as saying, yo, look, we didn't take any guys in the portal last year. Trust me, I got eyeballs. Next year, we're going to take like 9 dudes if he can't say that. And so you can't get mad at him because today he didn't show up today and say, yep, I'm falling on the sword and we just screwed up everywhere. Like there might be a point later this season where that happens. But right now, he's got to keep this team from falling apart. And Sark knows he has in one of his previous 4 seasons, he knows what it's like to lose a football team in this town. He lost it. He lost this team in 2021.
Oh, yeah.
Really right after the OU game.
Mm-hmm.
Just never got it back. And he's firefighting right now. And so, like, I there's not a whole lot today that I would nitpick about. Like, from 30,000 feet up, there's some hard conversations about decisions that they made. And I think ways that even we interpreted them as media members. I was wrong about a lot of stuff. What I'm pissed about myself is that I was wrong about a lot of stuff that deep down I knew I shouldn't have been so emphatic about. It's not like any of this stuff is a surprise. And Chad, I wrote this in my column. My biggest mistake that I made with this team and this program is that we talked out loud all offseason that the line was down, the running backs were down, the receivers were down, and the tight ends were down. And it was like, but if you've got an awesome quarterback, all of that's the tide that lifts all boats. If I could get like $100 for saying that, I could have a good weekend.
Plus, by the time they kicked in Gainesville catch, you thought the defense was better than that. It's okay to say all of that. It's okay to say all that at the same time. I think you and the other mods on OB set every expectation the way it needed to be. And but
I'm picking this team to be so much better than this. And in reality, it never made sense to say, if Arch is significantly better with worse talent or what, like it just, if you say it out loud, it sounds stupid. Well, yeah, everything's not as good as it was last year. Huh.
But you also said it watching other stuff. This season started with quarterbacks playing bad. Florida lost 3 games coming into this thing. We looked at other teams and said, what? They're all flawed. Sark looked at it and thought, wow, we're not the only team.
Well, I'm not saying I'm the only one wrong. I'm saying I hold myself to a high standard. And I was way wrong. And it's one thing to just get caught with your pants down. I've had some shit happen in the last few weeks, business related, where kind of feel like got caught with my pants down. Can't really explain it. That is its own like chapter of self-evaluation. How'd you let that happen? It's a completely different feeling though, when you're like, yeah, no, I knew these problems existed. Well, how big of a stand did you take against them? Not really a bunch. Like I warned everybody all year long that these problems existed, But then when the time came to prognosticate, I ignored all of the things that I talked about and just said everything's going to be okay. And in the end, I gave him the wonderful taste of success, because back-to-back years, national semifinals, a more talented roster. You can explain why the confirmation bias existed the way that it did. You can explain why that no one across the country was like, Texas is overrated. They're not even going to win 8 games this year. Nobody was saying that. But the signs were there. Just like in 2010, I joke about it all the time. I joked about it last week. In 2010, in the summer before that 5-7 season, Texas had a 7-on-7 matchup with Texas State, and they lost. And in real time, it was like, well, those things happen. And then they had a rematch.
Right.
And then Texas won the rematch and earned their honor back.
So the fast forward to that was 5-7. What's the number you could have said at the beginning of the year that today would make you feel like, okay, that you were fair?
8-4.
Okay. So
like
even
I was the one that said this offensive line is hot garbage.
So you're getting on yourself for not saying they weren't making the playoffs. Like, you should have been that emphatic in the summer and said, this is not a playoff team.
Look, I talked about how this offensive line was featuring unacceptable players.
Mm-hmm.
That
you hit that better than anyone and before anyone else did.
I have hammered the point home about the lack of explosiveness at running back. I have hammered the point home about where'd the fast guys go?
Mm-hmm.
And what I didn't hammer home enough was, hey, forget that the kid's name is Arch Manning. Let it be Vince Young. Let it be Major Applewhite. Let it be anybody you want to, Colt McCoy. Would it be fair to expect any of those players to be better players than the guy in the position a year ago who was surrounded by better players but wasn't great? Like, I just now, today, in the light of day, I'm like, we knew Arch didn't have better weapons. We knew the offensive line was trash. We knew that none of these running backs what did I say all offseason? Texas only has one player who averages more than 4.8 yards per carry in his entire career. And do you know who it is? It's a walk-on, Colin Page. Only guy. Mm-hmm. We talk about all these things, and then I got mesmerized by the overall scope of talent. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I wish we still had it. There were times this year I would post that scholarship board every week. Numerous times I would look at the scholarship board and go, is it good that there's only 13 seniors and 12 juniors on this team, 25 total upperclassmen? Is that
right?
That's not how teams win national championships. It's not how Ohio State did it last year. Certainly not how Michigan did it the year before.
Yeah, and Sark used that inexperienced word in the postgame after this at last one. He talked about being a very inexperienced team.
But you know what? He's not wrong, but Sark wasn't saying that in the preseason either.
Right. But that's also one of those, can he really say that?
Well, Sark never ran from expectations.
Right.
Sark never once told people to slow down with Arch.
Because you can't. But he can't.
But I mean, he co-signed,
he can't.
Hey guys, Arch is going to be incredible.
Like, what's he going to do? He can't do the Charlie Strong. Guys, this is a young team. We may not make the playoffs.
Well, no, because that was real honesty. But Sark's version of honesty was Sark loves this team. We also talked about that you could hear Sark talk about this team.
True.
He did not think it was fragile.
No.
He did. Well, Sark can get mad at whoever he wants to with regards to why the offensive line didn't go get guys in the portal, who helped make the decisions at wide receiver, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Sark watched this team with his own eyeballs in August and was like, yeah, man, we're justifiably a preseason number one. We're here to win a national championship this year. We're going to be great. We expect – he didn't hit the brakes ever.
Looking back, that had to scare him. Think about whatever he was thinking deep down. If he knew it deep down, that number one had to freak him out.
He didn't know, though. That's the scary part, Chad.
You think behind the scenes he told people, "Oh yeah, that's cool. We're number one. We're good."
I was told by somebody this weekend that was close to him on the trip from Gainesville and back that he was shocked.
Really?
Shocked. They did not expect what happened in Florida to happen at all. They didn't see it coming a mile away. Shocked. And I'll be honest, I thought today he talked like a shocked coach. You just start saying things over and over again. We got to coach better. We got to play better. Like that is the sign of a coach who's pissed.
Yeah. Who thought he was going to see something else?
Who never thought I'll have to sit here and explain to people that my team just needs to play harder, play better, coach better. That is some Mickey Mouse 5th grade level explanation of football. Yep. And that's Sark's fallback right now. Hey, if we don't coach better, tackle better, play better, run better, break tackle. Like, right. Now we get it, Sark.
Yep.
Better. Got it.
Like, all right. We got super chats to get to. We'll do it after we hear from Specs. The Specs chat, of course. Thanks to over 500 of you in there right now. A little bit of Specs, then we'll hit those chats.
When the creepies are crawling and the spirits start calling, Specs is a haven for all that you're craving. Wine, spirits, and beers to raise in good cheers. It's the largest selection of spooky perfection with prices so low they practically glow. Just tap on the app to shop from your lap, and Specs will deliver. This rabbit's a giver. For Halloween fun and grins ear to ear, knock knock, it's Specs. The fun starts here.
Darn right. Always. Nobody can catch like Specs. That's fantastic as always. Mwah. No notes. $4.99. Y'all, it's effort, want to, nastiness, and prep. All can be addressed mid-season. Talent can't be addressed until off-season.
I just think it's the talent that's the biggest problem.
Yeah. But
I don't know that that offensive line can be much better.
Are you now concerned that the defensive line talent is just not enough?
No. I think they had a bad day. I expect that group. Now, look, they're not – Colin Simmons is not consistently playing at a high level. No one – that group has to be better.
By the way, do we know – I know it didn't get asked today because they've been scared to ask about injuries now. Well done, Sark. Colin Simmons, do we know what he's dealing with? Because that big old thing on his arm was hard to miss.
Dude, they didn't ask about Trey Wisner. They didn't ask about Colin Simmons.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wondered if you had heard anything about what it might be.
I feel like if Arch had literally spit out of his mouth a lung, that people would have been like not asking about it. What if he could have seen his lung on the ground and they'd have been like, hey,
Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Wednesday night they'll tell us. What if he had thrown up like weeks from LSU? Would they have asked that about why he was puking during the game?
I thought the media was okay today. They're
all right. Yeah.
It's not in their hearts. Some of those dudes it's not in them to be challenging.
Yeah. $9.99 from Lindy. Is Sark a good quarterback evaluator? Ewers, Murphy, Owens. Evaluate, not developer, evaluator. Okay.
Lindy, he's been poor at both at Texas.
But you got, I mean,
I don't care. By evaluator, has he had a single plus player in half a decade at the position that he coaches? The answer is no.
That's a no.
It's all evaluation's part of it. Development is part. It's a lot of things at that point. But the end result is you can't be a good evaluator if none of your quarterbacks ever turn out to be any good.
And Catch, you've said this before different ways, but it's also this one is so key at the end of whatever this is. If it also is true of Arch Manning, that is such a massive stamp that goes on Sark's resume.
This will change Sark's career if he doesn't. Yeah. Let's feel like this. Sark will never get an NFL. If he doesn't fix this and he doesn't fix Arch, the dream of being a head coach in the NFL will never happen. Like, no NFL team right now is looking at Steve Sarkisian and thinking that guy needs to be our head coach, and we're going to have him call plays because that's his strength. Right now, An NFL team wouldn't take that. An NFL team wouldn't hire him as an offensive coordinator right now.
I wouldn't think so.
They're not going to hire him as a head coach. This is it for him as a play caller. Or he's going to have to go back, or he'll lose this job. Either he'll quit or he'll get fired. And the next time he has a job, it won't be at a program like Texas. That's how he calls plays. If he doesn't fix this, his reputation will be in tatters forever. Yeah. It will be 2 straight 5-star quarterbacks that he couldn't make anything out of, and he's the play caller.
Yeah, that too. That obviously
offense.
That adds to it on every level. All right, Catch, I want to know if you're going to let Jay get away with this for $5 super chat. One issue is we are not Georgia yet. Being where we were the last 10 plus years, this team was just not ready to recover from 23 plus guys to the NFL in the last 2 years. You going to let Jay get away with that?
I mean, not wrong at the moment. It's about if you simulated this 100 times, would they never not be ready, or were there ways to counteract this? Hey, Jay, I'll say this. One of the things that we complimented the Texas staff on, and this is me, again, got to self-evaluate yourself sometimes. When they went into the portal, and in the second portal, I'm not even talking about the first portal, which we picked apart numerous times. The little nuance, though, to what we gave them credit for in the portal in the spring. On that opening day when they got Jack injuries, when they got Murad Watson, when they got Emmett Mosley, right? Bang, bang, bang. All players they thought would be starters. And if Mosley doesn't get hurt, they may be right. But one of the things that we said about those 3 guys was, what's good about them? Especially Watson and Mosley. They got 3 years of eligibility left. They'll be around for a long time. You know what we didn't say? They show up ready-made to be impact starters on a team competing for a national championship. The biggest compliment that we gave was they might be around for 2025, 2026, 2027. For a team that was replacing that much talent. Because I think Jay's right. They're not UGA yet. Because what he's talking about is UGA has lived experience of overcoming that much turnover. And Texas doesn't. This was, Texas would have needed to do it this year for us to then be able to say, well, they've done this before. They know how to do it. But the amount of turnover, and I bring up the choices they made in the portal, because they made choices to go younger. They really did. They made choices to not go get more 1-year rentals this year. Mm-hmm. And I could make the case that what they really need is some guys who are going to be 1-year guys and be real plus players.
They need guys that are going to be fast on 2 levels, in and out fast and fast.
I just don't know that you can come out of the last few years and go, look, I know Adonai Mitchell and Matthew Golden were badass. And Isaiah Bond too when he's healthy. We got to stop having to replace these dudes every year. Why?
Right.
Why? It's working.
That's the point. Right. The point is you're going to be replacing. You're sending them to the NFL and you're replacing them with another one of those guys.
The last time you forgot to do that or didn't do that was in 2022 when a one-armed Xavier Worthy was running around the field like he was the fugitive. You were denying that there was an injury and you were starting you know what the left guard position has become? That second outside wide receiver spot in 2021. Everybody's going to play every week. They're going to. He said today, I didn't expect to throw Nick Brooks out there, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah. But also, Catch, again, we know the questions aren't getting asked. To your knowledge, any injuries at left guard?
No.
Okay. I'm just
not being good as an injury.
You made the point in the post game. I think it's an excellent point, and it's something that needs to be brought up. Rome 199. Simon passes my eye test. Breakout RR game,
dude. Rome maybe. Look, here's what I would tell you. Sark basically told us today he ain't playing all these dudes at running back this week.
He wants one, but the thing is, who's the one?
Maybe Simon.
Is it?
I
But
don't know that Simon passes any kind of eye test. I mean,
how can the one guy be somebody who didn't get a carry in Gainesville? Right? Like,
wrong. And I'm not telling you that you're wrong, because Steve Sarkisian has been wrong about so much that maybe we should be listening to you right now. But I'll tell you who didn't agree with you on Saturday. The head coach.
Right. He definitely.
And the running backs coach.
Not one carry. $10 from Wes for my wife's birthday. We're going to Hayes City store to watch. Whoa. All right. Tell them we said hello at Hayes City. My God, Wes. Barb's 10, $5. Buy or sell. Sark received a team's call invitation 1 hour after the Florida game from the Manning faction. Topic WTF. I
wonder what the Manning. I get the sense that the Manning faction, they're not helicopter people, right? They're not flying in and like.
I'd sell that for now. Let's sell it for now.
Honestly, I would be worried if I was Sark and I don't hear from them like anytime soon.
Yeah, I bet you though, when the uncles talk about it, one of them's got to at some point say, "Man, are you watching these guys trying to protect Arch?
What the hell is Peyton thinking?"
Exactly, like Peyton won a Super Bowl with a badass defense, an offensive line that gave him enough protection, and a freaking running game. And his arm was barely his arm. He knows the value of everybody around. That's the guy. Like, I would love to pick Peyton's brain on Peyton. Did you watch the Florida game? What the hell did you think?
I want to hear a Manning cast on a Texas game.
Yeah.
Because they're so brutal.
Yes.
As two former NFL quarterbacks, when they see bad offense.
That's it. Texas at Georgia, Manning cast. Can we get that? All right, I'm sorry.
Did you see Jonte Cook's, I think it was his uncle this weekend?
To Kentucky or Mississippi State. I did catch a little bit of the phone call. That's next level. Jonte Cook's uncle calls into the Syracuse postgame show to just go off about playing time, quarterback, throwing the ball.
He's like, this dude's messing up our NFL stock. Like, they got to fix this.
He's like, don't worry, we'll fix it, though. I'm going to go call some people. It's like, oh, my God.
The reason I went to Texas was me. Okay.
Dude, that was out of control. $5 from Barb's 10. I think I need to watch it at TCH for the sake of my new 85-inch from Tom McKay at AV Consultations. There you go. Aggie father-in-law will not out-TV me. Yep.
Volleyball clap. That's what you got to do with these TVs, man. I always tell people, what have I always said about Tom? Like, y'all, you're the best sales pitch that I've ever had Chad give is, your father-in-law is punking you, right?
Yeah.
Nothing makes me want to go buy a bigger TV more so than if somebody calls mine out.
Right. And again, this is an Aggie father-in-law catch. I've talked to Barb's 10 about this. He's got a whole like a chat in his phone that's all Aggies getting on him. Right. From that side of the family. So Barb's 10 is not going to get messed with. Barb's 10, thank you for the segue. Let's hear from Tom and AV Consultations. They can do all this kind of stuff for you.
Hi, this is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations, and we'd like to take a moment to thank all of our clients for making the last 37 years both fun and fruitful. If you haven't yet, I'd like to invite you to give us a try for all your home electronics needs. There's no need to leave your home to find great pricing and incomparable service. No traffic, inexperienced sales geeks, or pushy showroom tactics. We come to you. So just relax, hug your kids, and smile. We handle all the work. Just give us a call at 255-8678 or online at avconsultations.com.
Yeah, Barb's 10, do one of those 4x1s. That'll freak him out. Like a true 4x1, 4 screens. That can be 4 screens or it can be 1 screen. That'll freak him out. Do the 4x1. That's a good plan. All right, got a couple more super chats to clean off. They're both $1.99s. Every little bit helps, Logan. Thank you. Buy or sell Texas over 7.5 wins. I'm still buying, Logan. I'm still buying, Catch. I say it's 8 or 9 wins. What do you think?
I'll go 8-4 right now. I'm not, and I don't think they're going the rest of the way with just one loss. So, and I'm picking Oklahoma to beat Texas this weekend. I'm done giving benefit of the doubt. If I'm being completely honest, I think it'll be a close game, but
where's the line? Texas by a little bit right now?
Yeah, field goal and a half.
That's amazing. If you're OU, you're talking about bulletin board material. Like, geez, they just got knocked out.
I still don't think Oklahoma is all that, but they're a better football team right now than Texas is, and they don't have more talent, but they're better.
overall, you are probably right. The matchup I thought I knew in that game is the one now I got to reconsider, which is I thought the Texas defense was a good matchup against that OU offense. I don't know.
Oh, I think they are. I think they had. Look, we talked about it every week for the last month. 2 times last year, Texas gave up more than 20 points in a game. It was at Vandy, and it was Georgia at home. We're talking about in the regular season. So we knew that it was probably going to happen. What we don't know yet, I think, in reality, is this defense isn't as good, I don't think, as last year's defense. That
right.
There was a better version of Anthony Hill. There was a better version of Colin Simmons. There was Andrew Makuba was back there. Like, I think they had more provenness. Johnny Barron was back there. Like, they're not at that level. But, I think they're really good. And the question was always going to be because the question was, on a day when the Texas defense gives up 20 plus, can the Texas offense bail them out? Had you told me last week that Florida, forget about special team scores or defensive scores, if you tell me that the Florida offense is responsible for 27 points, and I don't know if that's it. I don't know. Do they get a safety? Do they get a pick six? I just know at a minimum, they're going to have 27 points created by the offense. Do I pick Texas to win that game? No, I don't.
No, probably not. No,
I pick Texas to win. If I pick Texas to win the game 20-13, if I thought they had the ability to just get on up to 28 and above, I wouldn't have said they'd have won the game 20-13.
Right. I picked Texas to score 28, but if you'd have told me that Florida scores 27, I think I'd have reset. I don't think I'd have picked 28-27. I think I would have had to reset.
Well, and I might have thought that would be the Texas defense probably helping get to that level.
I just thought they were going to. Yeah, I thought they'd stand up. One thing
this defense hasn't done yet, well, there are other things, not just one, but a year ago, it felt like you could set your watch behind a defensive touchdown. It felt like Makuba had a couple. We saw various guys making big plays, adding points. Part of the reason why Texas was able to, think about the Arizona State game. There were times throughout the season where they were able to get off-schedule points away from their offense, and they haven't been able to do that so far this year. I really thought this defense would create points, and they're just not making enough big plays.
Yeah, interesting game this week coming up is Florida at A&M. If I'm the A&M coaches, I don't show them anything but the Texas game. I wouldn't show them an ounce of Florida playing anybody but Texas because they need to think that's the team.
Florida do the exact same thing. I mean, A&M, we still don't know how good that run defense really is. There are at least some questions about, if a team wants to show up and try to do what Florida did to Texas, how will A&M defend that? They may defend it really well. Like maybe they've improved, but it certainly feels like a way to target the A&M defense and then take your shots down the field with Dallas Wilson. Unlike the portion of the season pre-Texas, they got that dude now. Like they've turned him loose. Yep. And the one thing you can't do if you're Florida this week is forget to throw the ball to that monster.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy. Third down's interesting too. Over the last 2 weeks, the Aggies have given up 1 third down conversion.
Are they great or are they due?
Yeah, but it's weird. Well, and how much of that's Auburn and Mississippi State? Yeah, we just know those offenses are pretty clunky, but I don't care who you play. 1 in 2 weeks feels pretty impressive, and we thought Florida was terrible on third down. Texas made them look otherwise. So we'll see what happens with that one this week. Couple more super chats here. $1.99. Texas should never take a train to a game again. Flintstone foot job, just in case you mixed it up. Maybe you were drinking during your watch party. That was a reference to like the first time they ever played in Gainesville. That wasn't this year. Texas.
No, maybe they should take trains to games.
Texas did not take a 40-hour train ride to this game. That was a story.
How long would a train ride be from Austin to Dallas?
Austin to Dallas. I don't know. Actually, our man Travis out at Hayes City and Taste on Main could tell us. He and his wife they do this train trip up to Dallas, so he could tell us what that is.
I think maybe they should do that.
Few hours. Maybe they should. Maybe they should go with Travis and Tamara. I hear there's a lot of drinking. Maybe don't. Maybe the team shouldn't go with them. Just different train, a dry train. $4.99 has Texas Tech taken over as the new powerhouse in the state now from Tej. Texas Tech question. Joey McGuire. Anybody got Joey McGuire jokes? Anybody got any run through Lubbock jokes to tell?
I mean, I'm going to wait until they do something before I bow up too much.
Okay.
Like
going to Utah and winning, that didn't do anything for you?
Not really. I mean, they're a good team, but like powerhouse, that new powerhouse. Like, I'm sorry. Let's it's October 6th.
What about
because they'll have to win the playoffs to do that. Like, yeah,
what if we met in the middle? What's between Lubbock and College Station? What's the midpoint? Meet in the midpoint, neutral site game. Who wins?
Oh, A&M.
Okay. All the super chats are cleaned off.
I don't believe in Texas Tech. They're playing a bunch of I don't say this as like to lift Texas up because Texas hasn't been good this season. So like we can separate that. This isn't about like Texas versus Texas Tech. It's not. If Texas Tech played Texas right now on a neutral field, I'd probably pick Texas Tech. It's my criticism of Texas Tech isn't bathed in, but what about Texas? My criticism would simply be they play like 5 games. We'll slow down a little bit. There's nothing that they've done so far this year that makes me go, oh, they did that?
All right. I mentioned Travis and Tamara, Hay City Store, and also Taste on Main. Longhorn fans, you might need this on a Monday. They got that lasagna waiting on you. This might be the comfort food you need after a game like that. Go land in some of this lasagna with the homemade mozzarella on top. Every Monday night, they're doing this lasagna at Taste on Main, and also on Mondays, half price. Bottles of wine all day. Careful, Texas fans, on that one. Make sure you get your DD and rideshare set up before you get out there and get that going. 116 Main Street out in Buda. Taste on Main. It is my favorite steakhouse in the world because it's so wonderfully casual. There's no crazy dress codes. The parking is free. You're right there in Buda. There's just nothing stuffy about it, and the food is excellent. And again, Monday nights, go get you some lasagna out there at Taste on Main. Looks pretty darn good. All right, Catch. Texas, Florida, all the stuff. We'll be unpacking that through the week, getting ready for OU and everything. It's Monday of OU week. Anything else that needs to be discussed at this point?
Nah.
Okay. Thank you all for liking, subscribing, getting your notifications. Tomorrow, remember, it is Modcast Tuesday. So no Catch tomorrow. Catch back on Wednesday. Let's see. What did I hear from Alex Dunlap is out tomorrow. He's got a doctor's appointment. So we'll see if we can get the other mods together for a little Modcast Tuesday as we get ready for Texas and OU chapter, whatever the heck it is now, 120 something or other. I'll just say it real quick, Catch. This week's going to suck for me. I hate when the energy's low on this game. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it when one team loses going in. I really hate it when both teams lose going in. I hate that there's an injury to Mateer. And I hate that Texas played like that the week before because now this just feels like I saw you read the chat earlier in the morning show where somebody wanted to do it's the time check and OU sucked and they just couldn't even do it. I hate OU weeks like this. It's one of the coolest games on earth to me, and I hate it. When
Coach better, play better.
I know, got right. That's where you don't want to hear that on OU week. Dadgummit. All right, we'll do what we can with it. And remember, 2:30 kick for that one. Speaking of kickoffs, Texas at Kentucky has been set for a night game. That one got a little more dangerous now in Lexington. It's either a 6 Central or a 6:45. So it's one of those. It's going to get stuck on SEC Network probably, and you got to get in and out of Lexington at night and deal with Mark Stoops' crew that always gives Kirby trouble, that gave Ole Miss some trouble, that always hangs with people. So that's now a night game for Texas. Thank you all for helping that subscriber number get up over 152,000. We do appreciate you. Check out all the great content. Check out the video section. Check out the short section. Football with Friends. Anwar in the mornings with Old Fashioned. The Prize Pick Show later in the week. Got a couple outsider shows for you this week as well. Thank you for all your support. Y'all take care. Have a great Monday. This is Orange Bloods Live.